All right. I can hear myself now.
I can hear myself now.
Got one watching, but Georgia boy made it over. All right. I don't know what happened. Honest to goodness, I got a microphone. I just bought it. I bought it for this very purpose, and doesn't work. uh, the YouTube said I had a mic, and it recognized it. I went off and removed it, added it back, unplugged the USB cord, put the USB cord back. Anyways, I don't know. So I'm working on my phone. This I'll have to take back and start over. Okay. Let's see. Where was I? Man, I was really telling y'all some good stuff earlier. Some really good stuff. And y'all couldn't hear any of it. So let's start over. Let me dim the shades. That might make it a little better. Yeah, that looks a little better. Okay. Let's talk predator calling. I wish the Coyote Man would make it back. That was my uncle Grady Gann, the Coyote Man. He is a professional coyote hunter. He's actually made money doing it. So I'm not a professional. I'm a preacher, but I know a thing or two about killing coyotes. And so what I want to do in this video is just answer some of the basic questions that I have gotten about coyote hunting. And basically, I just want to go over the types of calls and maybe give you guys some advice or some ideas on how to use them. So Dusty Bowhunter says coyotes were extinct this morning. They do that from time to time. But then you may go out tomorrow morning and they'd be all over you. So anyways, it looks like we got 5 or 6 people watching. One of them's probably me watching myself, making sure y'all can hear me. But what I've done is I've laid out all the different kinds of predator calls there are on my desk. And I've laid each one of them out on a Bible so that we can categorize them. And you can categorize the sounds basically 2 ways. You're either going to be making a prey sound where you're sounding like something that's edible, or you're going to be making a predator sound where you sound like something that's territorial or something that you can attract or would be appealing to the opposite sex of that animal. So when you look at the different sounds, you've got I'm dying, I'm hurting, I've been caught, something's trying to eat me, and then you've got I'm bigger than you, I'm badder than you, I'm going to steal your girlfriend, or I'm lonely and I'm looking for a man, or I'm lonely and I'm looking for a woman. Those are the types of predator sounds you'd make. Okay? So with that being said, now you have to determine what kind of call would work best for you. So who we got over here in the side chat before I go any further? I got Georgia Boy, Dusty Bowhunter, Ozark Spirit, and that's it. There's 6 people watching. We had 8 with no audio. I was doing better when I wasn't talking. Maybe I should just be quiet and make hand signals. Anyways, they'll figure it out, I guess, sooner or later and come over. PC Bullet Empire's here. So we got predator sounds, we got prey sounds, and then I've got 4 different Bibles laid out here. Okay? On each Bible, I have a different style of call. And so what I want to talk about are the different types of calls. Over here, on top of the old King James, the standard, I have what is called a closed reed call. In a closed reed call, let me take this little call here because it's clear and hollow, you can see. There's a reed inside there. But you can't control the reed. You can't make any sounds. The reed is set by the factory. You may be able to take it apart and move it around, but it's set. And there is a reed that's riding on top of a little piece of plastic, and when you blow air on it, it vibrates. The longer and the looser that is, the lower the sound. The tighter and the shorter it is, the higher the pitch. So if you select a closed reed call, these are the easiest to blow. Sound warning. You hear that? All you do, blow in it. The only way you can manipulate the sound of this is by how much air pressure you put in it or where you hold your hands on the end, closing it, cupping it, muffling it. Let me give you an example. I'll blow the same pressure. Now with my hand open. Now blow hard. Now you're sounding like something's eating on you, like you might have a coyote grinding on your back leg. That's a closed reed call. That is the easiest. Pick it up, blow in it. You can call in a coyote. They've been around the longest. There they are. This Bible is the ESV, which is a more modern, worthy translation. But on it, I have more modern calls. Calls like the diaphragm call. A diaphragm call, you probably know it like a turkey call. That's the most popular diaphragm calls are out west elk hunting. Elk calls are diaphragm calls. They go in the roof of your mouth. These take a little bit longer to work. Can y'all hear that okay? These are harder to work, but they give you a richer sound. The only problem is they don't go as far. Also sitting on top of the ESV is the squeaker call. You know that little dog toy that you get so annoyed at your dog? Cut it open, pull this out. These work, but they don't have a very good range. They're mainly for close-in stuff. So, but they do work. Now, they make a better squeaker call. These calls here. These are rubber squeakers with squeakers on the end, as you can see. But they're bigger and they're softer, so you get a longer squeak. They come one at a time, but I wouldn't buy just one. I would get two. You see that kind of stereo sound? If you're in tight woods, you know, where you can't see a long ways, it ain't windy, these work great, and it sounds like something's uncovered a den of rabbits. You know, you got a bunch of baby rabbits in there getting eaten. So that works great if you don't have to call very far, or if you've called in a coyote and you just want to get his attention. Next are on top of the old John MacArthur Study Bible, the John MacArthur Study Bible. We have the open reed call. And the good thing about open reed calls is with these, you can move your teeth back and forth down the reed. And the closer you get to the tip, the higher the pitch. The closer you get to the base, the lower the pitch. And what I'm holding is a Randy Anderson Primos hot dog. And this is a coyote call. You would howl with this. This is loud. This is long range. And if you want to reach out and touch something, if you want to call a coyote, you can do it with this call here. And this is going to give you a lot of volume. I may blow out my phone, but I'll give it a shot. So there you go. You can do all that by just where you bite down on the reed. Those come also in predator calls. And this is a red Tweety. There's a wide range of calls that you can make with this. And so we've got the closed reed. You just pick it up and blow. You open your hand, blow harder, don't blow as hard. Some of these have a foam covered tip, the closed reed. So there you go. So those are easy. Just about anybody can pick one of those up and blow them. Squeakers have their place if it's not windy. and you're in tight cover. Diaphragms are harder to use and not as loud. Open reeds give you the most control and are loud. And then here, our fourth Bible, after the MacArthur Study Bible, is the Charles Spurgeon Study Bible. If you don't know, I think Charles Spurgeon was probably the greatest preacher outside of the apostles, and I really like him. And on his call, we have a pinch call. And a pinch call works with the reed, if you can see it, on the inside, in between two reeds that you pinch. So you're going to bite down on the pinch call with your teeth, pinching the reed. When you bite down tight and blow, you're going to get that high pitch, that squeak. You hear that real high pitch? Now, when you don't bite down, I'll just go no pressure on the pinch. You got a pretty good crow call. And when you put it all together and use the cupping of your hand and the opening and closing of your hand, you're going to get this sound. And I'm going to blow it right at you. And this was the call I was using when Ozark and I were hunting the other day. And I think I called about 15 seconds and that coyote was in the field. Just keep in mind, when you're going predator calling for the first time, pick a call and just try to sound like you're dying. Okay? Animal lungs aren't as big as ours, so their calls are always shorter. Their lungs don't have the capacity to make these big long like a cow would baler or a donkey would bray. Rabbits, squirrels, birds, they all make short chop, 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 choppy sounds. That's what you're looking for, that real quick, quick, quick. And you want it to be, man, just real intense, because you want that bobcat or coyote or fox to think, man, something is fresh and dying and they're after it. So, Charles Spurgeon, the standalone, this is a Johnny Stewart, and I don't know what you call that call. I've had it for probably 20 years, and if I could find another, I'd buy 2 or 3 of them just to have and give to my grandkids. Okay, so, and then open reed gives you the most control, take a little more time. Diaphragm, not as loud, gives you lots of control. Squeakers, anybody can use. Closed reeds, anybody can use. All right, that's a background. If you were just tuning in to see how I call, there you go. There's everything you need to know. Go buy you one, take off. Now, if you want to talk about it, and we'll get over in the side chat, you want to ask me questions about unicorn hunting and other secrets, then I'm all ears. All right, let's get over to the side chat. Who all's here? We got 12 people watching. We saw Georgia Boy, PC Bullet Empire, Dusty Bowhunter, James Pollard. Kentucky Glock is on here. And 67 Rebel SST AMC. Who am I missing? I got to turn my sound down there. All right, who am I missing here? If I missed you and you commented, James Pollard, hey guys, is that a unicorn call? The unicorn calls violate YouTube's community standards, so I won't be blowing any of them live. Let's see here. Dusty Bowhunter says, I'm thinking about doing away with my electronic call. It cuts out and makes terrible clicking sound sometimes and ruins my hunt. Yeah, I understand that completely. Electronic calls have their place, and a good one, a really high-end electronic call is worth it, but I've never found any outside of the really expensive Fox Pro and the Randy Anderson Alpha Dog, which was his high-end call made by Primos. They worked good for a while, but like all electronics, they get scratchy, they get squeaky, they run your battery down, or you buy a lot of batteries. So electronic calls, I use a friend of mine's a lot, and but the only time I really use them is when I just get tired of blowing a hand call. And unless you're in a tournament, I mean, I may go coyote hunting in the morning, I may go coyote hunting in the evening, but I'm not going to be calling all day in a call. Now, if I was in a tournament, electronic calls have their place, bow hunter for sure. But if you're just going to call on Saturdays, in the evenings, I prefer a hand call. I can control the volume. And look, when you have a call, just pick any of these. Let's take this little bitty open reed call. Think about controlling it with your hand. Now, I always try to call with my left hand, so my right hand is holding the gun, and the gun's sitting on the tripod. Now, if that thing is running to me and I'm not calling, I have the call in my hand, he stops. If I have to use a call, I've got to have that call hanging on me, and I've got to push a button play. Even if I have it on my hot button where I just hit hot button play, it's much more natural just to control my volume with my hand and with the call. So I prefer hand calling. But yeah, if you got a good Fox Pro or a good Primos call, they got their place. But if I was just getting started, I wouldn't spend the money on it. Now, where they really do shine is in crow hunting. Electronic crow sound is way better when you can get an owl or a hawk screaming in there with it, get a bunch of calls going. You can really get the crows wound up better than you can with a hand call. So, yeah, you saw the hunt with Ozark and I Friday before last. We just couldn't get the volume, and that call usually sounds better than that. And we just couldn't get the volume out of it. So switch to the hand call. Coyote shows up. Missed you on the hat night chat. Well, yeah. I had a bunch of kids over, and wife and the kids were all home, and the internet bandwidth upload download was low, and I knew there was no way I was getting on there. So anyways, I've got an old PF38. It's been good. Yes, they are good. Do you have any coyote wolves down there? If you look at the coyote on the wall behind me, I put a reminder out of me holding that coyote up. The picture is me holding the coyote up, and you'll see when I'm holding him in the picture, his feet are up by my face, his hind feet are, and his front feet and nose are almost on the ground. And I'm 5'8", so that's bigger than a coyote, but it's illegal to shoot wolves in Arkansas. So I shot a big coyote, if you know what I mean. Jason Hall saying hello, a new sub. Johnny sent me over from his reloading bench. Yeah, we love Johnny's reloading bench. One of these days, I'm going to get out east and shake Johnny's hand or buy him dinner or something. I'd love to. I love Johnny's reloading bench. Thanks for coming over, and I hope you enjoy the channel. Coy dogs, not coyote wolves, which are a wolf-coyote cross. Coy dogs are black. Anytime dogs breed coyotes, 9 times out of 10, the pups come out black. I've seen 3 black coyotes. I called in a black coyote one time, but we didn't kill it. We had another coyote pop out real close, and the black one was way off, and we had to shoot the one that was close. So I've never killed a black coyote, but yeah, I've seen several of them. My mother killed a black coyote this year in South Arkansas. So we do have some coy dogs here. Our dogs won't come to the electronic calls anymore. They're too weary. Well, the same thing happens with coyotes. If you call them in with a sound and shoot at them or knock some hair off of them, they'll get wise to that, and they'll quit coming around, or they'll come around at night. So same happens with the dogs. That's why, if you take each one of these calls behind me, I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I got 12 calls there. I don't have $100 in those. A lot of times the calls I buy, I just buy on clearance. I walk into Bass Pro or Cabela's and they got something they're trying to get rid of, I buy it. If it ain't any good, I don't use it, All the calls I have behind me, these are Johnny Stewart. This is a red Tweety. I can't remember who makes the red Tweety. like Psycho Calls or something like that. That's a Johnny Stewart. That's a Primos. These the squeakers I've got in this varmint grenade box. These are Loman. And sometimes if I'm by myself and I'm not calling, I put both of those squeakers in one hand. And then you can even have your gun up, moving it around with that. So those are Loman. Talk about clearance calls. There were 2 of these Buck Garner closed reed calls with some electric little cheesy keychain call. They were all together in a package for on clearance for $7. So I grabbed them. And this is a Quaker Boy, Little Rascal, kind of makes a bobcat sound. And a couple of years ago, my son and I went to Yellowstone, and we stopped at a sporting goods store on the way back. And this is like a South Dakota brand call, closed reed, kind of a jackrabbity sound, a little deeper than the young cottontail. And so I just grab them when they're on sale. You can have a whole arsenal of calls for $50. You can pick them up a little here and there. So that's the way I do it. So no wolves, James Pollard says, called coy wolves up here. Coy dogs, yeah. Arkansas once had a animal called the red wolf, and a matter of fact, there's a mascot for Arkansas State is the Red Wolves, and they look real similar to the coyote I have on my wall, but that's not a red wolf because red wolves are protected. That's a coyote, and they're extinct around here. But every once in a while, you'll get a really, really big coyote. Do you prefer morning or evening hunting for coyotes? I have always called more coyotes in the morning, but as the morning went on, the chances of calling them in go down. I prefer the evening because it gets better and better and better right up till dark. I think I see more in the mornings than I do in the evenings, and I think they respond better in the mornings. A lot of times a coyote is primarily nocturnal, and this is just my opinion. I think a coyote is out at night hunting, trying to find something dead to eat or trying to catch something to eat. And I think if he's still active in the morning, it's because he didn't find anything to eat last night, so he's more receptive to a call. And so I think a lot of times the coyotes you see in the morning are more receptive to a call than, say, coyotes right before dark. If it's a little shaky, man, the wind's not exactly right, I don't want to cross that field. They're not hungry yet. They'll wait and try to find something easier. Coyotes didn't get so populated by being stupid. So that's just my opinion, Charles Lawson, Georgia boy. We used an old record player called Crows. I did too. And then I had a bunch of cassette tapes. And the very first coyote I called in was with we used to call them a boombox or a ghetto blaster back in the 80s, and had the dual tape deck, where you could record from one to the other. And we would put the ghetto blaster up on my shoulder and walk out in the woods, set it down, turn it on. We had a record player that was in a big hard case with a big horn on the top. It kind of looked like the old Victrolas or something, but it wasn't. It was green and camo. We have them as tall as a small deer. Yeah, James, I would say that sounds about right. Our koi have blue eyes from blue healers. A glass-eyed coyote. I bet they exist. Twice the size of what's on your wall, yote and wolf breed. If he's twice the size of the one on my wall, that is mounted on a wolf form. We didn't find a coyote form that would fit that. So if he's twice that size, he'd weigh about 180 pounds, and that would be an Alaskan wolf or an Arctic wolf. Favorite varmint rifle cartridge? Man, I'm going to be honest with you. I just got the 22-250, and I haven't killed anything with it but some paper. That's really touted as a varmint cartridge, mainly shooting coyotes. I prefer a 243, just to be honest with you. They don't run as far. It kills them deader quicker. if that makes any sense. I mean, I've killed them with 223. I've killed a lot with a 223. And I know you can kill them with a 22. I've killed several with 22 Magnum. Getting a phone call there, messing my phone up. The 243 just seems to kill them better. You don't trail as many, they don't run as far. So I prefer that. But, you know, it's hard to beat an AR, especially if you call in multiple. I mean, I usually shoot a 243, and that's a bolt action. So when you're shooting a bolt action rifle, you only get so many shots off. I have a video called Kibler Bottoms Double, where my uncle Grady Gann, the Coyote Man, is filming it, and I'm using his AR, and I shot a double. I think I got off about 4 shots. Yeah. I shot one, I shot another. The first one got up and ran, I missed it. And my 4th shot, I hit it. And I couldn't have done all that with a bolt action. It just wouldn't have been possible. So I like the 243 caliber, and I may like this 22 250. I've shot over 100 coyotes with 243. I mean, it's going to take me a long time to get that much in with another caliber. So Johnny Stewart Stealth Flex Pitch Call, $6.99 on Amazon. There you go. And let's talk a little bit about what calls sound like. Some people say, are you using a rabbit call? Are you using a bird call? Are you using a mouse call? Are you using a jackrabbit or a woodpecker? And basically, I don't really know what I'm trying to be. I'm just trying to be something dying. So if that something dying sounds like a baby Bigfoot in distress and coyotes are coming, I would do the baby Bigfoot in distress call if it were me. You know, if it sounds like a unicorn colt, I would use a unicorn colt distress call. It doesn't matter what it sounds like. Here's what you'll find out. There are days when coyotes respond to high pitch calls, like baby cottontails, the real high squeak. There are days when they respond to real low and raspy calls. And some coyotes will respond to one and others won't respond. I mean, I call a series, let's say I'm using a distress call, and that's what we're talking about. If I'm using a distress call, I'm real high-pitched squeak. If nothing shows up in a couple minutes, I'm low and raspy. If nothing shows up in a couple minutes, I'm real loud as I can possibly be. If nothing shows up in a couple minutes, I switch to a completely different call or something totally and mix it up. But when you're doing coyote vocalizations, whatever you do with those, you need to be replicating what a coyote would do. So don't sit out here and do like adult male howl, real deep, low, guttural howl, and then turn around and do a bunch of pup challenges, and then a deep male again. And then, I mean, it's not realistic. That male is going to shut those pups up. So when you're doing vocalization sounds, you're not going to hear a bobcat in heat and a male coyote howling back to back. They're just, bobcats and coyotes don't get along. So I'm talking about with predator calls. If you do a bird sound and nothing shows up, turn around and do a jackrabbit. Nothing shows up, try to make a cottontail sound. Just whatever you need to do, and just keep changing it up until something happens. I mean, I've seen in the bottoms where I can see a long ways, I will see coyotes, say maybe a half mile away, 800 yards, and I'm just calling, and they're not even looking at me. Then I wait a few minutes, I switch to a different distress call, and they raise their head up and beeline straight to us. I don't know why, I can't explain it, but you can ask just about any coyote caller and they'll all give you the same type questions. 12 gauge in the moonlight. Yep, you got to get them close. Have you ever tried the 75 grain Sierra hollow point in your 243? No, I have not. I had 2 primary loads that I put in a 243. The first one was I shoot 100 grain spear soft points, and then I loaded these Barnes varmint grenades. These were a solid copper bullet, but they were 62 grain. And I sent some of these to 243 Outdoors, and he said he loaded them, but I don't know if he's got around to shooting them or if they shot so bad he didn't do the rest of the video. I don't know. But these shot good for me because they were a real long bullet, and man, they screamed and flat. I mean, they shot real flat. And the reason I shot the 62 grain varmint grenades and the 100 grain spears is because the point of impact was the same at 100 yards. So I could shoot like a 3-shot group with 100 grains and then shoot a 3-shot group with the 62 grains, and it would look like a 6-shot group, you know, maybe around an inch at 100 yards. So I had a varmint load and I had a deer load, and I got tired of getting to my stand and going, hey, I got 300 grainers and then my backups are 62 grainers because I grabbed the wrong. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to shoot everything with 100 grain bullets. So 100 grain bullets kill coyotes just as dead as the 62 grains do. Looks like that catches up the side chat. So if you guys have any questions, I'm not an expert. I'm just a spurt, which a spurt is just an expert away from home. So, but I'll be glad to tell you about predator calls or anything else. If you have any questions for me, right before we got on, somebody said, hey, I just found your channel. Are you really a preacher? And the answer is, yeah, I'm really a preacher. I'm in my study, my office here at the church. And there's a reason why I did this here. If I do this at my house, the German Shepherd Champ and the little weenie dog Brownie, they go nuts. I can't blow predator calls around there without Champ start howling and barking and running around the house. And so I go out on the porch and do it, and then they get in the window and bark at me. So I thought, well, maybe I'd go out in the woods. But then if I went out in the woods and I started doing all these calls and talking and trying to get somewhere where I could get a good enough, you know, have fast enough internet, that wouldn't work. So anyways, I thought, well, I'll go to church. And so here I am in the office, and there's no dogs here, so it's a good place to do it. 75 grain VMAX, deer and coyotes. Yeah, that would work. And you know, the main thing is whatever you have confidence in. Those 100 grain bullets shoot so good for me, and spear is it's a cheap bullet. I mean, the thing about VMAX, Hornady's so proud of their bullets, and so is Nosler. And I get great accuracy out of the spears, and I get better performance than I do out of the Sierras. I mean, I've got several videos of deer being shot with those spear 100 grains, and man, they just belly flop. I mean, you can look at the doe I shot with Ozark Spirit up at his place. I mean, that deer took her last step when I pulled the trigger. My son, you know, he's shot several deer with them, and they just drop, and I have too. So, it's whatever you have confidence in, whatever works, and whatever shoots good. The 100 grains shoot good for me, and deer drop. So, do fawn bleats work during turkey season when the deer start dropping fawns? Yes, Ozark Spirit, they work real well. The only problem with a fawn bleat is you'll call in deer half the time. Well, more than half the time. As soon as you start blowing a fawn bleat, you might have a doe run right over the top of you. And yeah, they work, and they even work in the fall, but you always have deer running in, and you would think, well, that wouldn't be a bad thing, but yeah, it really is, because I've called in deer, and the deer are standing there looking at me, and then I see a coyote coming, and I move to get on the coyote, and the deer take off, and the coyote goes with the deer, because that's what's making the noise, not me. And so you can lose them, you know, when you get deer in. Turkey calls work here. Yep. I bet they would. I know a lot of guys kill coyotes here during turkey season. It's just part of it. My dog went nuts watching and hid the video. Huh. Yeah. When I was editing the video down from me in Ozark hunting the other day. My shepherd was in the living room howling and barking, and when I get a coyote, when you get this, really, if you want to learn to call coyotes and how, this hot dog by Primos is probably the best thing. Just get you one and learn it. And I learned to use this driving down the highway. You can't use these around your wife. These hurt women's ears. You can't use them around your dogs. It hurts your dog's ears. So I get in my truck, and it's kind of long and bulky, but you can pull that horn off, and the horn's where you get your mellowness and your volume. It's going to be a little higher pitch, but all you're going to be worried about is working that reed right there. So just get in your car. You got a 30-minute commute to work. Just you just want to work that slide till you feel it, and you kind of get the idea of about where your pitch is going to break, and you want to control your wind. Now, people on the side of you, they're going to be looking at you. What in the world's that guy doing? Well, you're just learning to call coyotes. So just work on getting that pitch right. And then when you put the horn on, you get a whole much better sound. And just hold a note. I'm just putting my lip on it and blowing. And you're just barking. You can do that driving down the road, and you'll get good at it. And then when you put the horn back on there, you get this much better sound. And when you're trying to call coyotes with this, the higher pitch is your pups and your females. The deeper pitch is your males. So if you wanted to be a big male, say you heard some coyotes howling, and one of them was real deep and guttural sounding. If you want to challenge him, a challenge howl is just a short howl. So you give him a couple barks and then a deep howl. Now, that male has been challenged by another male. And if there's other coyotes with him, they're like, hey, are you going to let him talk to you that way? And so he's got to make a decision. 9 times out of 10, if he is the dominant male in the area, he's coming, and he's coming to fight. Now, if you do that to some young pups, you did the opposite. They're going away from you. They don't want to fight an old male. So if you see some young pups out in the field, just give them some pup howls. And those higher pitched pup howls will get their attention. Hey, that's somebody our age. That's another teenager. Let's go hang out. Now, y'all didn't know I speak Coyote, but I do. And I actually have a shirt that says I speak Coyote. And on the back, it's got a dead coyote. And it says I usually get the last word. But anyways, that's a little bit about that. And I would recommend this Primos hot dog. This thing might cost you $20, but it's worth it. And when you're calling coyotes with male vocalizations or any coyote vocalization, you want to spend at least 30 minutes there. You want to get there and do an interrogation howl, which is non-offensive. Just let everybody know I'm a coyote, I'm here. So, and that long, drawn-out howl, that gets coyotes' attention. Sometimes they'll howl right back, and sometimes they'll come right in. But a lot of times they'll come in without ever making a sound, and you will howl and sit there and howl and sit there, and you'll think, man, this is a waste of time. And you'll start to get up, and then here will come one walking across the field to you. So get you one of these. If you want to start coyote hunting, get you a howler and get started. Okay, William Cheapin, hey, good to see you. Your message was retracted. I'm not fat. I'm thick-skinned. You can say whatever you want. It won't hurt my feelings at all. I have a 3-inch load called TR5S. What works to call a unicorn in? Well, William, we said earlier, it's against YouTube's, what is it called? Community standards or whatever. Maybe Katy Perry music. Yeah, maybe Katy Perry music. That might work. William Chapin, he's a dandy. Vanessa Kitty, hi. Well, it's good to have Vanessa with us. Unicorns only come in to Barry White tunes. What instrument is that? That is a coyote howler. JCM 45 could call a unicorn in then. Sorry, Glock Kentucky 1. I didn't mean to get the Scottish Terrier in full-blown attack mode, but hey, you know, you got a decoy now. You need to take him with you. I would put him on a leash just so you get him back. I know unicorns don't come into hee-haw. Tim. Hey, they do in the South. Banjo music will draw them in like that. I have a little dog and I love it. All right, I think that catches up comments in the side. So is there any comments about any of the calls that we've been talking about? The closed read are the easiest. The squeakers and the diaphragm. Squeakers are easy. Open read give you the most control, and then the pinch call, which is my favorite. I hope that I wish we could have got the Coyote Man over here. Maybe he's watching and just ain't commenting. But he's actually, my Uncle Grady's actually much better coyote hunter than me. I just became a coyote hunter because I moved to an area that had a bunch of coyotes. And, you know, I married a farmer's daughter, and on the farm there were coyotes. So I just learned to hunt them because we had them. If I'd have married somebody that had elk on the property, I'd have been an elk hunter. If I married somebody that had gophers on the property, I'd have been a gopher hunter. Hopefully the weather will cooperate this Friday. I hope so. Ozark Spirit and I, we have a standing deal. Just any Friday between now and the end of February, if something doesn't come up, we're going to go coyote hunting. So we would have went last Friday, but my father-in-law's not doing well. He's in the hospital in Little Rock right now. He's got pneumonia, and he's got some other stuff going wrong, but they can't really figure it out yet. So anyways, it's looking like Fridays, as long as it ain't snowing up there or raining down here. Ozark Spirit and I are going to try to call in and kill a coyote every Friday. Trevor Morphew, this is great. Glad you tuned in, Trevor. I hope you enjoy it. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. Look, the call worked. One on your wall. He's locked up. Going to start raining here tomorrow. I think it's supposed to snow in Georgia tomorrow. I always tell people when they come in my office, that's the best dog anybody could have. He doesn't bark. He doesn't bite. He doesn't shed. He doesn't crap in the house. He doesn't pee on your stuff. He doesn't chew on things. And he doesn't eat much. Really the best dog you could ever have. And you can pet him all you want. And then if you got to go somewhere, you don't even have to take him to the kennel. He just stays. Everybody ought to have a dog like that in their living room. Below zero incoming here. All right. I hope that answers everybody's questions. I don't know how long we've been on. Looks like we've been on 45 minutes. I was going to do an hour. The first video didn't have any sound. I still don't know what's up with that. I'm going to take that mic back. I've got another mic at the house that I know is better than that, but I was trying to do it at the office and I didn't realize I didn't have a mic here. So, and I wanted to do it on my tablet because I wanted to go in the sanctuary and do it, because then I would have had acoustics in there, but I couldn't get Facebook Live on my tablet to work. Google Hangouts work, but not live. So I don't know. Anyways, I guess if if you don't have any more comments about calls, we will call it quits on the video. Thank y'all for tuning in. I think the most we had was about 15. So anyways, appreciate all of you tuning in and watching. I hope it helps you if you're trying to make a decision on getting into predator calling. Look, I want to give you some advice before we go, just about hunting. Now that you know a little bit about the calls, here's the way the hunt goes. When you call coyotes, you're going to call and nothing. You're going to call and nothing. You're going to call and nothing. And you're going to wonder, am I doing this right? And it's just a numbers game. It doesn't matter if you're a world champion coyote caller like Les Johnson, or you're a coyote guide like Tony Tebey. It's a numbers game. And depending on the amount of coyotes in your area, you may only average calling in a coyote every 6th stand. But here's what you need to consider when you set up. You need to be calling upwind. Coyotes are not they're going to try to come in downwind because they're going to want to smell what's there before they arrive. No coyote wants to run up and try to grab a field mouse from the dominant male in the area. So if there's a big thick patch of woods over there and the wind's blowing from that thick patch of woods across the field to you, then you want to call toward that thick patch of woods. You want to go in there and try to be unnoticed as possible. You don't drive right up. You want to park somewhere and slip out and be unseen, and then call without them knowing that you were in there. And you want to be calling to something that's upwind. That way, if he comes or he tries to circle around, you get him on either side. And if you set up and you call and nothing, it's I typically call about 30 minutes at every set. So if you've called about 30 minutes and nothing showed up, pick up, go to the next one. Pick up and go to the next one. And then just keep doing that and play the numbers game. Eventually, you're going to get to where you call and one just runs right over the top of you. And the first time a coyote just plows right over the top of you or runs up to point blank range, you'll be hooked. And fox are real bad about that. Fox will just charge right in and look around and run off. So just remember, set up with wind in your face, be able to shoot on the downwind side if something tries to circle below you, and just go over and over and just pick spots and try. And even if you just got a couple spots, try them for one weekend, go back the next, try them again. Just because you didn't call one there last week, don't mean you won't call a pack this week. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. You just got to keep going. And that's the advice I give you. Just keep going, and then you'll get hooked. I just happen to have some area that has a lot of coyotes. If you saw my opening day of deer season, I think I saw 6 coyotes that morning. That's the most I've ever seen on the deer stand. But that's not unbelievable where I am, because it's agricultural cropland, and there's a lot of cattle farming in the area. There's chicken houses in the area. All those things attract and feed coyotes. So just keep going, keep calling, and eventually, you'll call one in. All right. Ladies prefer levers. I guess so, because I sure don't. Sounds like worming a cat. Yep, that would bring it in. Actually, on the Randy Anderson electronic caller, they have a couple of house cat calls, and we killed a coyote with them one year in the snow. We played about everything. Nothing came in. I said, I'm going to play that. I think it's called alley cat or barn cat or something. I turned that on, and one like to run over the top of the call. So, yeah, if it sounds like a dying cat, it'll work. Have you ever used a siren to locate? No, but I know a lot of people that do. When my Uncle Grady hunts out west in Colorado and New Mexico, they've used siren out there. I usually use just the interrogator howl, just a big, long, neutral sounding howl. Next time, fox hunting tips. Yeah, we'll get horses and holler tally ho. That's about all I know about fox hunting. William Chapin, that's funny. Greetings from Norway. Well, thanks for tuning in. I'm sorry you're getting just at the end of it, but we'll do another live chat from the. We need to come up with a name from these because I have good internet at the office at church, so we may need to call it the Pastor Study Chat or something like that. And if you got a topic you'd like me to do next time, just several people asked about the Coyote Calling, and so that's why I did this. But if you have another topic you'd rather me cover next time, I mean, I can do that, and I can even give more notification where we could get people to tune in. All right, it's coming up on 3 o'clock. I've been on here about an hour. The first one was a failure. Second one worked. I'll get a microphone. We'll do better next time. So thank y'all for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching my channel. I really do appreciate it. And I don't tell y'all this enough, but I love YouTube. And what I love about YouTube ain't the liberals that run it. What I love about YouTube is you guys that tune in and comment, and I watch your videos and you watch mine, and we all have a good time visiting together. So thanks. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on the next video.